Welcome to In the Arena. I'm your host, Mindy McAlindon. Today we have joining us Senator Jason Rapert. He was a state senator for Arkansas for 12 years and also the founder of the National Association of Christian Legislators. But I think what Jason is best known for is having bold, fearless approach to what he does, and sometimes controversial, but he's always fighting for what is right. So let me introduce to you Senator Jason Rapert. Join us.
It's good to be with you, and thank you, Mindy, for having me here today.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. It's good to see you. You have been so busy, and I want to jump into some of the things that you've been focused on. But first, why don't, for some of the listeners who don't know who you are or aren't familiar with your work, give us a quick introduction of how you kind of got to where you are in public service.
Well, that's a long story, but I'll try to make it very quick. And so, the bottom line is one of the things that the National Association of Christian Lawmakers strives for is that men and women of God, Christian people, would actually listen to the Lord and find if maybe it's in His will for them, I would say, to run for office. And so I was a businessman, Mindy, like a lot of people. I would say a very normal situation. My wife and I were raising our children, and I was actually also active in ministry. I'm ordained in the ministry in addition to everything else. And we have Holy Ghost Ministries is the name of the ministry. And so we were running our financial services business, doing all those things. And people began to ask if I would run for office. And I would typically say, you know what, as long as I can put my weight behind good people that are serving now, I'm going to support them. Well, that question continued to be there. And I began to pray about it. And very clearly to me, I felt God answered that prayer in early 2010. And my answer was this: Jason, why are you not sacrificing to serve at home at the same level that you've been sacrificing to serve overseas now that your country is in trouble? So, Mindy, I was running, mission teams. I'd led 8 mission teams into Ghana, West Africa, seeing people literally transforming their lives through medical missions and many different things. And I was really into that. But God said, why are you not sacrificing at home at that same level? I resigned from Merrill Lynch. I was working for Merrill Lynch at the time. I resigned, filed for the first time to run for office in my life in March of 2010, and went on to become the first Republican since the Civil War to win my district. And so from there, we were in a minority in Arkansas for 2 years. Yeah. And then in 2012, for the first time in 138 years, we elected a actual Republican majority in the legislature. And then a couple years later, we elected a governor. We swept the constitutional offices. You know all that history. And so I was elected 4 times to the state Senate. It's really been an awesome thing to be a part of this Republican and conservative revolution in our state. And we went from not passing hardly any real conservative legislation. I was honored to be able to lead the heartbeat bill in 2013. Arkansas became the first state in the nation to pass that heartbeat bill. And we passed tremendous tax reform here. I could go on and on about a lot of the good things. And so that's how I got into it. I prayed and I answered God's prayer in my life and His answer to me on running for office. And the rest is history, so to speak.
Well, I mean, I know you relatively well. I've met your family, and I think anyone who knows you knows that you truly are a man of God, a man who reflects on what is the Lord's will, not just, ooh, this could be a fun thing to do. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for the amount of thought that you put behind that. And I appreciate you sharing with listeners just how you kind of came to that decision, because that's always a question that people ask. Why did you run? And everyone has a different answer, but I think yours is a really compelling answer, and also shows the sacrifice that you made in order to run. So thank you for sharing that. Talk to me a little bit. Well, first, before I jump into this, did you run the 10 Commandments monument bill?
That's right. So
tell me about that, because that was pretty controversial.
Yeah, well, in 2013, we ran that heartbeat bill. And I was just like any of the 7,383 state legislators, right? We're all working around the country. And suddenly when that happened, we were advised we were getting ready to get attacked pretty good. And when that happened, I'm saying this to set up for the monument. When that happened, they came after us. It's the old saying, if they can't kill the bill, they will kill the author of the bill. They'll kill the message. If they can't kill the message, they'll kill the messenger. And they came after us and gave us the Trump treatment before we knew what the Trump treatment was. Mm-hmm. And that really, when Rachel Maddow did her hit piece on me, that opened up attacks and threats to even our life we'd never experienced. And so through that period, Mindy, we had the state police tell us, my daughters and wife, they said, you need to leave the state for a few days, let things calm down, let us figure this out, because they said you have credible threats and we're not on top of all these yet. And so that's
terrifying.
And yeah, it is. Well, and through that, I'll just tell you, and this is a real key for, again, the monument and other things. I remember that moment in our kitchen when my wife, and she's obviously questioning, why did we even do this? Why did we serve? This has now gotten extremely serious, dangerous. And she's weeping. She's my wife. And they threatened to rape my daughters, rape my wife, burn our house, kill me. Even had one person that had put out a wanted poster and said somebody needs to go shoot this expletive, all because I was running pro-life legislation. And I told Laurie, and it was tough, but I remember telling her, I said, sweetheart, they've accused us of everything. They've called us everything. They've attacked our business. They've attacked our reputation. They've attacked our ministry. They've attacked everything. And I literally opened my coat and I said, sweetheart, just look, we're still standing. They've not been successful. God still has his hand on us. He's taking care of us. And I realized that what they had done has made me stronger and my family stronger than we'd ever been, because so many of the lawmakers watching this program, you always wonder what you would do if you became national news or international news. And what happens when you go through that and you realize, wow, I've survived, then that allows you to be stronger than you've ever been. And so the Ten Commandments Monument, we passed that in 2015, and it was a supermajority that passed the Arkansas Ten Commandments Monument. Governor Hutchinson actually signed that bill, and it was 2 years to get the monument actually approved through the Capitol Grounds Commission. And literally 24 hours after it got put up there, Mindy, it was torn down completely. A guy ran over that monument, destroyed that monument.
Yeah.
Had to rebuild it again. And so out of that, we actually created the American History and Heritage Foundation so that we have accountability with a nonprofit. And that group, American History and Heritage Foundation, actually raised funds, gifted that to the state of Arkansas twice because we had to rebuild it. And since you've asked the question, what's so cool is that we are currently helping right now. Tarrant County, Texas is putting up a brand new Ten Commandments monument. I also have been contacted by Rockwall County, Texas for a second one. And these will be very similar to the monuments at the Texas State Capitol as well as the Arkansas Capitol. And I love doing that because that is an honor. It's an honor to the historical and moral foundation of law and Western civilization. And we're happy to help with those monuments.
I agree. It is, and I think people sometimes forget, but that is what our country was founded on. That is what our law was founded on, was on those Judeo-Christian principles of the Ten Commandments. I had the opportunity when I was in Texas at the Glenn Beck Museum to see the remnants of the Ten Commandments that were shattered in Arkansas. And it was amazing to be there and to see that, because that was a little bit before I was involved in the legislature. So,
they had pictures of that down there. And of course, we took our National Association of Christian Lawmakers group there in 21. They had pictures of the monument. And so I knew some of the people there with the museum, and they said, we'd love to display the remnants of that. And so we loaned that. It's on loan to the museum.
Okay.
And so we loaned that to them, and they have the remnants of that, and hopefully they are getting to display it. There were plans for it to be put together almost like pieces standing.
Oh.
And I don't know if they've done that yet, but that allows them to see it, because truly there's been a war on God and the Word of God and the Judeo-Christian history and heritage of the country. But through the work of great legislators, like many of our charter members here, and it's those of them that are coming on, the NACL actually endorsed the Ten Commandments monuments themselves as a model last year. They just sort of resurrected that old legislation after the lemon test got thrown out in the Dobbs decision. Mm-hmm. And so that and the 10 Commandments posters, which Arkansas did this year as well. Our chair for West Virginia, Senator Mike Azinger, just passed the National Motto Act there. Jim Dotson, our friend that's now in the Senate, Jim passed the National Motto Act a few years ago here, and AHHF, the American History and Heritage Foundation, through that momentum, he came to us. We helped him produce a poster. We've put up over 50,000 framed national mottos in Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, a few other states, but most of them have been those other states. And it's been a great part of my life to be able to see some of that stuff put into action. And that's totally separate and apart from the National Association of Christian Lawmakers. It's a standalone entity. But all of these things that you all are doing and you're involved with have been a blessing to watch come to fruition.
Well, thank you. And I do want to jump in because I know you and I, as we know, even just prepping for this, there's so much to talk about, so many places where we share interests. But I want to talk about the Association of Christian Lawmakers, because this was started, maybe 6 years ago or so. And I want to talk about what it is. Yeah. And then let's jump into what you're working on and how people get involved. So let's start with what it is.
Well, it is an association of local, state, and federal elected officials that serve in public office at any level across the country. And Mindy, the questions about some of the legislation, having gone through some of that, one of the things that I noticed, a lot of people would pat you on the back and say, we're with you. But when those fires really came, that's really a test for those lawmakers. And so part of the value proposition is that I began to ask a question. I said, why do we not have a National Association of Christian Lawmakers? They have associations for the radio industry, for teachers, for truckers. They even have catfish associations in some parts of the country. Why do we not have a National Association of Christian Lawmakers? There was a National Association of Jewish Lawmakers. And so I began asking that. And so there are a lot of faith-based groups that do education. Some of them are in religious liberty lawsuits, things of this nature. Love all those. I'm part of all those. But I was asking, why do we not have an association, legislative led, that actually represents their interest and brings all these people together? So as I asked the question, Governor Mike Huckabee at the time said, I don't know, but you need to do that. Congressman Bob McEwen, you need to do it. Tony Perkins, 2018, when I shared the vision with him, he said, this is a time for an entity like this to come. You have to do it. So we cast the vision in 18, we incorporated in 19, and we had planned to have our meeting in 20, and of course, COVID hit. And so we actually did our actual launch in August of 2020. We launched in Florida because that's the only place that would allow us to meet together. And Governor Huckabee came to that first meeting and was honored there, Congressman McEwen, and we launched the NACL. And what's distinctive for folks that watch your podcast is it's the only faith-based paralegislative group in the space. So your viewers are all familiar with ALEC, American Legislative Exchange, familiar with NCSL, National Conference of State Legislators, CSG, Central States Government, NCOIL, National Council of Insurance Legislators. I'd been president of that group. Those are paralegislative groups. They have legislative leadership involved in them, but they're not government. So they're paralegislative groups. Well, in that space, we found, just because of the way this developed, we're the only working paralegislative group. So we have 7 standing committees. We have chairs and vice chairs of those committees. They take testimony much like a mobile legislature. And one other distinctive is that it is only legislative led. So the elected officials, there is no, I know some models incorporate private entities. That's great. But here, it literally is just elected official led, which allows that, if you will, the gravitas of the fact that it is only electeds that are making the decision, period, on the policy of the National Legislative Council. Currently, the chair of the National Legislative Council is Representative John McCravey of South Carolina. And then we have 3 vice chairs, Representative Sarah Vance of Alaska, Senator Ted Alexander of North Carolina, and Representative Bill Riley of Kansas. And so since 2020, we've now grown to have members and supporters in all 50 states. And we also have 37 states where there is a state elected official that chairs the state. They've promulgated 45 different model laws, resolutions, statutes, and ordinances since they got started, and they continue to work on those. And we're very proud of what they do. And we're proud that you're a member as well.
Thank you. So you have your annual conferences coming up in just a couple of weeks, right?
That's
and you'll
right.
be in Virginia?
We will be at Liberty University, and it is called our National Policy Conference. We have 2 in-person meetings a year. So typically last part of May, early June is the National Policy Conference, and it is at Liberty University where they gave us a home for that. This will be our 3rd time there. And then toward the end of the year, we'll typically have our annual meeting and awards gala. And that typically is wherever time and circumstance demands. So in 23, we had Speaker Mike Johnson in Washington, D.C. at the Museum of the Bible. And in the last year, we were in Scottsdale with Charlie Kirk, Dr. George Barna, and folks like that. And so we encourage people to go to christianlawmakers.com. You can find out how to be a part of it. And one big question a lot of people ask, Mindy, is, do I have to be an elected official? No, we actually created what's called an armor bearer supporting member. And these are pastors or motivated Christian conservatives that say, we want to support, be a part of this, not necessarily an office. And they are what is called our armor bearer members, which is scriptural. And so for people that want to see Christians supported in their work in public office and those that may be interested in even potentially doing that, this is a great place to meet thought leaders from around the country. We will have members from the White House Faith Office at our upcoming meeting. I've talked to Paula White. I'm not sure if it's going to be Paula or the special advisor to that office, Cassie, which is special advisor to the president, or Jenny Korn with them, but they're planning to be there. Senator Tom Cotton and others. So I could just go on, but I know we have limited time.
We do. And I want to keep moving because there's so much ground that I want to cover. So real quick, can you share with me probably what you think has been the biggest milestone so far for NACL?
Well, there's really many, to be honest with you. I mean, you have to understand that before the Dobbs decision, NACL, many of the leading pro-life leaders across the country were involved in our entity. Janet Porter, who was really the voice behind the heartbeat bill. Janet actually is on our advisory board. Alan Parker with the Justice Foundation. Father Frank Pavone, Priests for Life. Kristen Hawkins, Students for Life. It was a pulling together of these various voices that were supporting this. And so we passed the heartbeat bill was endorsed as a model by the NACL before the Dobbs decision. And since the Dobbs decision, they have endorsed, Mindy, the legislation that me and Mary Bentley ran in Arkansas, which was the abortion trigger bill, the abortion ban trigger. But the Human Life Protection Amendment is a model without the trigger because you can put this in place now. So many states passed the heartbeat bill. Other states have also passed what is a version of the Human Life Protection Amendment. And there are 45 of these, but I will point out a couple interesting things. So the National School Chaplains Association came to us a couple years ago. They had passed the National School Chaplains Bill in Texas. They said, how do we get this passed? We need your help to get this passed in different states. I said, the way to do that is to come to NACL and to have someone sponsor that and endorse it as a model. That occurred. It got put into the hopper as a model bill at the NACL. It so happens Senator Dennis Baxley took it back to Florida before it even got passed as a model, but took the idea from that meeting, took it back. They passed a bill in Florida. He got someone else to lead the bill. And then in Louisiana, Senator Mark Abraham actually passed the bill there. He then came back with the School Chaplains Association to the next meeting. They said, we've got a couple kinks worked out. We want to endorse this as the model. They did it. And now, last count I had, 26 different states were running some version of the School Chaplains Bill. Another example of some great things, the Gold and Silver Bill that you had just run. Kevin Freeman had come. They had run that bill in Texas, but didn't get it passed. So they brought it to the NACL. It was put on the table. And ACL, surprisingly to me, the members endorsed that very, very, very quickly, rather than the normal time frame that you might expect. And then many people began running the bill. You called me and told me you were about to work on that bill here. I said, well, by the way, they passed it as a model. And models, by the way, this is where some people forget. Models are meant to be a chassis, if you will, kind of like a truck chassis. It puts in place just a standard, and then the states can adjust as they need to. And through that process, sometimes you find that there's some change that really is just monumental change that should be utilized in other states. And so the model helps get the word out, helps get it in front of people. And we're happy that the NACL has been successful with that. But there are models that have been run on various things, whether it's protection of children in schools, library bill issues, where we've had pornographic material in libraries, human trafficking. There's a lot of focus at our next meeting coming up. There's going to be focus there. And the other thing is protection of children on the internet. So entities came to us last year, said we want the NACL to begin to debate what many now know as the App Store Accountability Act. And so we have people that are involved with that. That's going to be on the table again here at Liberty University. And so I think one of the, if you would say the milestones are that we do have people that show up in every state now. We can see those members. And also the fact that many of the bills that we have passed as models and or endorsed as models that people have brought to us, many of those are now law across the country in various states. And the last thing I'll say on that is that I'm very proud of them for having an America-Israel Standing Committee. That's been important. And we have seen multiple resolutions passed in support of Israel as a result of the October 7th attack in 23. I personally ran the bill in Arkansas that authorized us to invest in Israel bonds back several years ago. And Arkansas continues to do it. Robert Sprague is the treasurer of Ohio. He is our state chair there. He put over $300 million in Israel bonds. Todd Russ in Oklahoma was a state rep, is now the treasurer. He is an NACL member. He has supported. So Israel bonds, they see our members doing a lot of things. And you, Mindy, you passed the Judea-Samaria legislation recently. And when I was in Israel just a few days ago, we were reminding the foreign minister there, we reminded the speaker of the Knesset, and obviously when we saw Ambassador Huckabee, we reminded them that you had just done this and we're giving credit to you for having led that legislation. And the NACL obviously has been on point on that issue, but we want to continue to endorse and support these things because we want others to replicate what great legislators like yourself are doing.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the work that you've done and you continue to do. And I think you do a lot behind the scenes that people do not see some of the great things that you're doing, but you are truly a supporter of Israel. And I appreciate that very much. And I'm hoping that we'll see this Judea-Samaria bill kind of work its way across the country. And so thank you for the model policy on that as well. Well, I know we're running late on time. I knew this would happen, Jason, because it is just so easy to talk to you, and we just have barely scraped the surface. So I'd love to bring you back another time. Let's talk some more issues. But before we go, if you could just kind of tell me maybe 3 interesting or fun things that people may not know about you. And excuse the dog sneeze there. Sorry about that.
Well, of course, we're dog lovers as well. So that's one for you, is that we've actually got a lot of rescue dogs and animals that we've taken into our home over the years. But a few things that people might not know about me. Number one, I've been married 35 years. And so Laurie and I were married when we were barely 18 years old. Wow. And God blessed us. We worked our way through college, and he's blessed us in our businesses. 2 other things, I guess, for you is, number one, I still own a business called Providence Financial Group, and I help a lot of people in the insurance and financial services space with regulatory affairs and government affairs things. But last but not least, a fun thing is I'm a fiddle player. And there was a season there where I think that Senator Gilmore is also a violinist now. Yeah. At the time, I was the only fiddle player in the Arkansas Senate. and that's the state instrument. And so in 2011, Mindy, when we celebrated the centennial of the opening of the Arkansas Capitol, which was 2011, Secretary of State Mark Martin asked me to play the actual state fiddle. This is the fiddle that was given.
Wow.
And so I went to the historian there that was holding that fiddle because it hadn't been played in years, maybe ever. And so we went in, they gave me that fiddle in a case, and I took it out and had it all restrung, and my band played in the Capitol Rotunda for their celebration. That was a lot of fun.
That's pretty amazing.
I will tell you that playing the Arkansas Traveler during my campaigns allowed me to convert a lot of Democrats to be Republicans.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. It has been such a treat to have you here. I enjoy spending time with you. I enjoy hearing what you're up to. And again, we will have to have you back because we just have barely scratched the surface of all the things that you're doing. So thank you so much for coming.
Well, I appreciate it. Mindy, I do want to say, if you can make it, if it makes it in your edit, I want to encourage people to support you. I know sometimes you probably don't do that here, but we really need to keep Mindy McAlindon on the front line working for us because she's not only making an impact in Arkansas, she's making an impact nationally. And so if you like what you see here, you like what you see her doing, please consider getting out there and supporting her, because at the end of the day, that's what counts, is seeing that support. So Mindy, you may edit that out of there, but I wanted to make sure to let you know that people need to get behind you, because people like you that are willing to put yourself on the line these days are few and far between. And I hope that you'll stay involved in every arena.
Thank you. That's very kind, Jason. I appreciate that. Have a great day. Hope to see you soon.
God bless you.
You too. Well, I hope you have enjoyed getting to know Senator Jason Rapert just a little bit. He is a man who is true to his convictions. He has just really sacrificed his time and his fortune and his family in order to be able to fight for the things that we all believe in. And so he talked a little bit about his time as a senator. He talked about his organization that he started, the National Association of Christian Lawmakers. And I hope you will check them out. And I hope you will maybe even be able to make the conference that they have coming up. They do a lot of good work. They support a lot of good legislation through their model bill policy. And then hopefully next time we'll get to hear a little bit more about a recent trip they took to Israel with Tony Perkins and all the great things that they were able to accomplish. So anyways, I hope you will join us next week in the arena.